Hey, welcome back to On Air with Dr. Pete. I'm your host, Dr. Pete Economo, and I'm happy to be back here with all of you today. As you know, we cover lots of different topics on this show, and the goal is always to just make some time and choose to spend time on yourself. I believe in order to live this balanced life, we all need to continually work on ourselves and push ourselves to achieve new goals. And as most of you know, I come from that mental mindset as a psychologist. And our guest today is going to teach us another essential aspect to overall wellness, and that's money mindset, which financial is definitely a value that we talk about with clients. So taking care of your financial health is critical. So focusing on mind, body, spirit, and our financial health will allow for us to live the lives we want to live. And so with that in mind, I'm going to welcome Pericles here today, Pericles Rellas, to the show. He is a money mindset expert known for his innovative approach to helping people realize their fullest potential by resetting their financial thermostat. So depending on where you are in the world, what's your temperature? Pericles has become a program leader by empowering people to create their own financial freedom. And I'm so excited. So Pericles, let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, Dr. Pete, well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's been about 30 years since I started down this path of doing what I do. And it originally started as a business coach. I wanted to help people make more money, but I noticed early on that while they were making more money, they all exhibited the same pattern.
Yeah.
They would make more money, but they were still behind every month if they were behind before, or they were just treading water, or they still had stress and anxiety and worry about money. Well, it didn't make sense because they were making more money. You think all these things would get resolved, but they didn't. And it was across the board. Everybody was having the same experience.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, something's got to be going on here. I started studying it. And over the next 2.5 years, I discovered a couple of things. One is that we all have something, what I call a financial thermostat. It's your money mindset.
I can't wait to hear more about that. I love it.
Yeah, your financial thermostat. It's kind of a sexier way of putting it.
Yeah.
And two were the 4 keys to resetting our financial thermostats. And so I started implementing this with the people I was working with at the time.
Yeah.
And the results were extraordinary. And they're like, oh, so-and-so wants to work with you. And so-and-so wants to work with you. And it kind of organically grew into this whole new area of focus. And from that point on, I really started to consider myself as a money mindset expert. And then from that point, which is about 25 years now, I discovered there's a very spiritual side to this as well. And one of the things I realized is that money, our relationship with money, is actually a reflection of our relationship with ourselves and the world around us. And that as we start to delve into that relationship and we uncover it and we create a new relationship, our relationship with ourselves and the world around us transforms. And suddenly we find we have a better understanding of who we are. We have a better understanding of what we want and the path to travel to get to where we want.
I love that. Now, in psychology, we say people have 7 careers. So before you started that financial thermostat, like how many did you have, or were there any other things that you're willing to share?
Yeah, oh, of course. Yes. I come from a theater family. So my mom and dad were both in the entertainment industry.
Nice.
Dad was a writer for television. Mom was a singer on Broadway, and then moved to California. She spent time taking care of the kids, and my dad continued to write. So for me, it was okay. I was going to be in show business, and in college, that's what I studied. And out of college, started working as an equity production stage manager, and then moved into company management. I did that for many, many years. Really fell in love with it, and then got to a place where I was just done. It had run its course. And then I met someone, we started a business together, and it was a private jewelry design house for many, many years. We worked with celebrities and we worked with A-list, business owners and billionaires. And it was just we had just all sorts of clients. It was really great. We had people from all over the world, and I loved that. And then that completed, and I started on. I'd been working on this path during that time as well. But I think in 1994 is when I really started the self-exploration, looking inward versus looking outward, and that's where this final path and journey has finally come. So I think what was that? Maybe 3 or 4.
I love, that's really cool. And I was actually just saying this with my team the other day that a lot of life is theatrical, and I know that sounds terrible, but like even as a psychologist, like sometimes it's just a show, and listeners might not totally get that, but you have to be animated. You have to really just like connect. And, I love what you guys do in the arts where you're just trying to understand like yourself to be able to be that that character, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what you're touching on, Dr. Pete's really important, especially in today's social media world and
Yes.
reality TV world, where I think that there's a break now for people where they don't know where that line is between reality and fiction. And so
Yes.
we look at and watch reality TV and we think, well, that's how life is. That's not how life is. That's entertainment. Or we watch people on social media, and this starts to bring it into the money conversation. We watch people on social media who want people to think that they're these rich jet setters who just got all this money. And it's just a facade. It's a personality that they're putting on, or a character that they've created. And that's not all of them, but the majority of them don't have any money. What they're doing is going into debt so that people think that they're wealthy.
Yeah.
And the conversation shift that I'm interested in is, are you interested in actually moving from going into debt to have wealth, or to look like you have wealth, to actually having wealth and not caring about what other people think about you?
That's deep. That is deep, Pericles. So the way you came with financial thermostat, we've already mentioned that a bunch of times. It's interesting. So can you share a bit about how you came to the concept of financial thermostat?
Yeah, it started as, I think I defined it as a condition around money. This was your condition around money. And I know it resonated, or it spoke with the people that I was working with at the time. But then as the conversation started to expand, I realized there are more subtleties to this. And I want to also use something that people can relate to. We all know what a thermostat is. We've all worked with one before, whether it's in our house or on the oven or in the car, and it's designed to regulate something, the temperature. And that's all it does. It doesn't think. It doesn't strategize. It just knows the room is set at 72. That's what I do. If the room starts to drop below that, I'm going to turn the heat on. If the room goes above that, I'm going to turn the AC on. I'm going to maintain that 72. And our financial thermostat is exactly the same way. The problem is we don't know it's there.
Right.
And so it regulates how much money we can earn. It regulates how much money we can keep. And it also regulates our thoughts, feelings, and emotions around money. So if you're someone who's thinking, well, what's my financial thermostat setting? Just look at how life is for you. Are you limited to how much you can make no matter how hard you try? Or you are able to earn more, but it always disappears? That's your financial thermostat setting, re-regulating it. Same thing with thoughts, feelings, and emotions. It's one of the reasons the majority of lotto winners go bankrupt within the first 5 or 7 years. It's because their financial thermostat setting is not at a place where they can manage that kind of money. So it kicks on, they start disappearing money, and all of a sudden they're broke.
Yeah, you're touching on like earning power, and it's something I do a lot with like performance work. Working with portfolio managers in the hedge fund world, and trying to understand the balance and what's important to them. I find that this thermostat just keeps moving. You talk about like the heat in the air. I mean, that's because of where you live. That never happens here in New Jersey. We've got one speed right now. We got the heat and there's no air coming on. But you got those nice cool nights where you might need both in the same day. But the idea of values, and so that's why this is important. And somebody, how's a psychologist talking about this? Well, financial literacy we do a lot with athletes. Athletes that get a really large first round contract. Who's there to help them with that, similar to your lotto winners. So, and you're talking about thoughts, feelings, emotions. I love that. You call that the money hamster wheel. And so I want you to explain that to our listeners.
Yeah. There are a lot of people there like, oh, I make plenty of money. I know how to make plenty of money. I know how to save plenty of money. But when they start to look at it, they realize I have no sense of fulfillment. I have no sense of joy in my life. I have no sense of enough in my life. I'm driven on that hamster wheel to make more, to make more, to make more. So I'll be happy, or I'll find love, or I'll have that satisfaction or security or whatever it is. And that's not what money can provide.
That's right.
And so we start to look at, wow, I'm able to earn a lot. I'm able to keep a lot, but my thoughts, feelings, and emotions, that setting I need to relook at, because I'm never happy or content. And we can then jump off that hamster wheel and find ourselves in a place of, wow, I actually have enough. I have this sense of satisfaction and peace and joy in my life. Now, that doesn't mean that you never make more money or that you don't set new goals. It just means that the intention for that goal is different. Suddenly, more money comes into your life and you're like, wow, what am I really going to do with this? What am I going to choose to do with this,
Yeah.
rather than it's not filling that bottomless pit.
Yeah.
I keep dumping more money into it. I keep making more money, and I'm still unsatisfied. I'm still unfulfilled. We can then fill that hole, and it's not the money that's filling it. It's actually ourselves. We find that love comes from here, that joy, that satisfaction comes from within.
Yeah.
And when we've got that, suddenly the experience of having more money, having more things, totally different.
Yeah. Oh, God, you sound like a psychologist. It's value-based living. And I one of the ways that I frame it in the work I do is it's a moving finish line. And so, like, especially in New York, like, people are, the high performers I work with they'll have a goal, and once they reach it, it's not enough. And then they're going to another one, and they're not happy, like you just said, or they're not able to even enjoy their money. So it's like, cool, you're going to have $20 million when you're about to die in the bank. And for what? You know? And maybe it's for your children, and that's cool if that's your value.
Right.
Right.
But did you miss out on your children growing up?
Exactly.
Did they miss out on having you in their life?
Right.
Did your spouse miss out on having you there? And did you miss out on being there with your spouse? Yes. And this is the really important thing is we're on the journey far longer than we are at the destination.
Yeah.
So are you going to actually enjoy the journey? Right. Or are you going to suffer along the journey, hit the destination, then find out, wow, it's still like ash in my mouth. I need to get on another journey that I'm going to then suffer through. And then, like you said, we're on our deathbed. Yeah. And it's like, okay, what was it all for? Is it leaving that legacy? Is that enough?
Yeah.
Did you give up that life? Like they say, we only die once.
Yeah.
But people miss the opportunity to live their entire lives. And so we want to bring that experience to our life now, rather than waiting to get somewhere. I can't tell you how many people I've worked with who are like, well, if I just get to this number, I'll be happy. And they hit the number. And like you said, they're not happy. Never. Because it's not the number that will make them happy. It's something inside of them. And that's where this discovery is so extraordinary.
In the sports world, we say the journey is the destination. So I love that you said that.
Yes,
that is it.
Absolutely, it's a great way of putting it. Yeah,
yeah. Once you land somewhere, you just you're moving to the next thing, and that's the mindfulness based approach too. That all you have is now. And so if I believe in, I'm not a financial person, but I believe in, if you want to, leave money for your children or something, do it while they're alive too. Like, and if you want to, help them buy that first house or second house or an investment, or, if that's where you're at in that. So, Pericles, how did your upbringing affect this? So like, can you talk a little bit about, how you landed here with your own relationship and your view of money?
Yeah, it's interesting. I can honestly say that my upbringing didn't impact the work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But my upbringing was something that benefited from the work that I'm doing now. In other words, I could start to see all the blocks in the flow of money that I had. I could see where my financial thermostat setting was as a result of when I was a kid. Yeah. And a great example, when I was 6 years old, I think it was, I'm going to date myself here. We were watching a show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And it was all about, a different expose on different families that were wealthy. But this particular one was about this wealthy family, and their lives were just in shambles, tatters, trying to combine two words at once. It was just a disaster, right? Yeah. And I remember at the end of the episode, my mom saying very nonchalantly, she had no agenda, just very casually, I never want to have that much money. You'll lose your whole family.
Yeah.
And in that instant, that 6-year-old boy decided, thermostat setting, never make too much money because you'll lose your whole family. And that literally ran my financial journey up until I then discovered and created this education, and I was able to clear that block out. And then I was, oh my gosh, I've got this financial ceiling, and this is where it came from. I was able to clear it, and then the sky's the limit. Yeah. And same thing around, there was another conversation about it's always something. Mom used to say that all the time. Totally. Oh, it's always something. Yeah. And I would work with people and see, like, no matter how much money they made, something would show up and take that money away.
Always.
And clearing that block out was, again, something that empowered me and allowed me to go to the next level. So our past definitely impacts their generational money mindsets or generational financial thermostats. We raise our children inside of the conversations we have around money. And so our children take those on, embody them, and then pass them on to their children. And so at some point, we want to notice it. We have to move from that survival part of our brain or that automatronic part of our brain to the frontal cortex, where we've got that critical thinking. And once we start bringing that critical thinking, we start breaking those old neural pathways, which have been running, firing, and wiring together for ages. And suddenly we create something new. We create a new neural pathway. And that new neural pathway is nascent, and it comes from and is nourished from our heart. And when we say, you know what, money flows to me easily and abundantly every single day, that's a whole new way of thinking. It's a whole new neural pathway, but it's a baby, and we need to nurture it. We need to nourish it. We need to focus on it. We need to love it. And we can only do that from our heart. And when we do that, it becomes, over time, the predominant conversation that we have, rather than money's the root of all evil, or you'll lose your whole family if you make a lot of money. So this journey is one of, I guess you could say, there's psychology to it, but there's also energetics to it. There's, Dr. Joe Dispenza, the law of attraction. There are a lot of different modalities that you could apply this to, but it all comes down to one thing. We are the source of all that we have. And that's the bad news. And the good news is, because we are the source of all that we have, we can change who we are and create a whole new world.
I was just, the word in my head was spiritual. And so I love that you went to the energetic thing, because that felt very spiritual to me. And so is it spiritual, or like your own spiritual journey?
I think it depends on the person. And that's the cool part, is there's some people, they're religious. Some people are spiritual. Some people are not either of those things. And you can apply this from a scientific basis. You can apply it to just neural pathways. Right. You've been having these neural pathways firing and wiring together for ages. Now we're going to break those new neural pathways. And from a brain science, that's what we're going to start focusing on. Yeah. Then you start looking at the energetics of it. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to feel a certain way. My vibrational frequency is going to shift, and I'm going to attract like vibrational frequencies, which are consistent with what it is I'm committed to. Yeah. Or you're going to have a spiritual conversation where I'm going to connect with my higher self, and I'm going to allow my higher self to source me as I start to create and build the world that I'm living in. Yeah. There's no one right answer for everyone. There's only the right answer for you right now. Yeah. And whatever that is, find it, grab a hold of it, pull it towards you, and run it till its course is over. Yeah. That right answer, which might be right for you now, might run its course, and you may find, wow, this isn't doing it for me anymore. Great. Yeah. Let it go. Thank it. Be grateful for it. Find something else, because as we progress on this journey, we get more mature, we get wiser, and the things that worked for us in the past may not work for us now. So find that new thing for yourself.
The idea of the 6-year-old Pericles watching Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous, I love that. And for the younger listeners, that would be like MTV Cribs, today. But because people have this fantasy of what it brings, what it means to have a ton of money, and I mean, I see it all the time. And so, what would you, for the people that are sort of chasing that moving finish line on the hamster wheel? Other than the thermostat, the spiritual stuff, like, it's a lot. Like, I guess I wonder, when they come to you, are they just like, how do you get them to see that this is relevant versus like this, this is spiritual and sounds like this guy, because I know you referenced Joe Espinoza and like the neurology of a lot of this stuff, which I love that you did that. And when you like law of attraction got some attention with The Secret, and Oprah, and the idea of like, it's not like you're just going to close your eyes and spiritually think about this thermostat and all of a sudden have a bank account exactly where you want it to be.
Correct. That's not how it works. It does require something. It's a shift that can happen very quickly. Yeah. The shift happens, but it's kind of like turning the wheel on the Titanic. The wheel gets turned. The shift happens quickly, but it takes a little bit of time for the boat to actually move. Yeah. Same thing from energetic thought
Yeah.
to manifesting in the physical world is matter. Those things take a little bit of time. And I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated. You know, they're thinking and they're feeling and they're working, but the seed isn't sprouting. And so they end up digging up the seed to see what's at, and they've killed it, or they give up on the seed. It's never gonna sprout. Or here's what I find mostly: people who are trying to manifest, people who are trying to use visualization, they're doing programs that they love, and they really are following the instructions and everything. They're doing it to a T, but it's not working. And here's why I think for most people it's not working. Okay, I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to make a lot of money. Yeah, but you're too stupid. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to make a lot of money. Yeah. You know, it'll never happen for you. You're not educated. That little voice that's the inner critic is exactly that inner critic is poison to anything we try to build on top of it. It's like having a rickety foundation and building a house on top of it. It's going to collapse.
That's right.
I love to say, you know, here's a mud pie. Nobody would eat a mud pie. Well, okay, I'm just going to put icing on the mud pie. That's going to make it all better. Now, will you eat it? No, we wouldn't eat it. Well, that negative thought will poison anything you're trying to build on top of it. And so we can then clear those negative thoughts by using a very simple 4-step process that I've created. One is you've got to notice it. Yeah. You've got to recognize it and acknowledge it. You don't have to give it what's the word I'm looking for? You don't have to give it agreement.
Right.
You don't have to validate it. You just have to acknowledge that it's there. Wow, I've had this conversation since I was 6 years old that I'm going to lose my whole family if I make a lot of money. Okay, I can own that I've had that conversation.
So notice
Step number one.
Yep.
Yeah, notice it. Brings it from this part of our brain to the frontal cortex. We're now bringing critical thinking to it. Second thing is I'm going to let that conversation go. I'm going to say out loud, I release this conversation. I let go of this conversation. It no longer has dominion over me. It no longer has permission to be in my space. I turn it over to a higher power. It could be God, could be the universe, could be just
whatever
the air, whatever you want. Doesn't make any difference, but you've got to let it go.
Beautiful.
I let it go. And you keep saying that until you feel it. You kind of like, wow, I can feel a little bit of relief or a little bit of release. It's going away. Then in that moment, what is money for you now? Money flows to me easily and abundantly every single day. That's like one of the ones I created for myself. Yeah. In that space, in that moment, money is moved from you're going to lose your whole family to now, no, you know what? Money flows to me easily and abundantly every single day. That's the third step. Now the fourth, and you have to feel it. It's not just saying something.
Right.
If steps 1 and steps 2, you're not feeling that sense of release, don't do step 3 yet. Keep saying it until you feel that like, okay, even a little bit. Oh, wow, I felt a little bit. Great. Now what is money for you? Now you're going to write that thing down. Don't write a novel. Don't write a trilogy. It's a very short sentence, 2 or 3 words. And then you've got to feel it in your heart. You've got to feel, it's like when we smile, we see somebody we love, our whole energy shifts. You want to have that kind of feeling around it and write it down. Put it by your bed, put it on your computer, put it on your mirror in the bathroom, and you want to get present to it every single day throughout the day. Now, the fourth step is now go out into the world and watch for it showing up. Watch for it and acknowledge it when it shows up. Oh, there's a penny on the ground. That's money flowing to me easily and abundantly every single day. Right. Now, here's what a lot of people will do. Oh, I'd never pick up a penny. I only want the $100 bills. Great. You've just shifted your energetic frequency. You've just said, I don't want more money. Right. I only want a certain thing.
Right.
Because a penny's more money. If I give you a penny right now, you're a penny richer than you were a minute ago or a second ago.
Yep.
Acknowledging that penny is acknowledging money flowing into your life. I one year found almost $800 in found money in the course of a year, just going through my life because money flows to me easily and abundantly every single day. That's just found money. Yeah. So wherever it shows up, acknowledge it. Even if it's somebody talking about a new business opportunity, not for you, but you know what? I'm going to engage in this conversation and I'm going to express gratitude for the opportunity that was just put in front of me, even though at this stage I'm going to pass on it because it's not the right thing for me. But thank you for showing me that money flows to me easily and abundantly every single day. And keep doing that throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. And you will start to see a shift in your life. You'll start to see a shift in how money flows to you. Now, that old conversation, it's never going to go away forever. It will show up. Step 1, 2, and 3 all over again.
Yeah.
And it will get quieter and quieter and quieter and less dominant and less frequent. And you will notice that this new conversation, that money flows to me easily and abundantly every single day, becomes the predominant conversation of your life. And that's what will start to manifest.
I love that. I mean, I feel like that mantra's in my head now. I think listeners are just, it's beautiful. It's perfect. Thank you for that.
You're welcome to it. Yes, you're welcome to it. Take it. It's all yours.
So to create this money mindset, what would you say are like 3 things that people can do? I mean, so these 4 steps are great.
These 4 steps, absolutely. Right. I think the next thing is you want to start looking at my relationship to money.
Yeah.
Because most people, we don't even think about it.
No.
In today's day and age, we almost never interact with cash. Right. Everything's tapping on our phones or using a card, a debit card or credit card or something like that. Even in the casinos in Vegas where I live, you can go to machines and never interact with cash, right? They're all little tickets that are going. It's crazy.
That also really fosters this whole issue with gambling, but that's a different topic. But go ahead.
A whole different conversation, but it allows us to be separated from our money much more easily.
It does, yeah.
In every situation where I don't have to think, I just could put it on a credit card. Just tap. There it is. There it is. Tap. Another Starbucks, another this, another that. And suddenly we're spending hundreds or thousands of dollars every single month and we don't even see the money. Start to look at where you interact with money, how you interact with money. What are your thoughts, feelings, and emotions around money? Bring it to the forefront of your thought rather than something we don't think about, we don't even engage with. Think about it. And see what shows up. And then I think the third thing is I would invite people to look at it in a new kind of format or a new dynamic. Like imagine if you related to your significant other the way you currently relate to money.
Yeah.
I want more of it now.
Yeah.
I want it when I want it. I don't think about it when it's not here. When I get something with it, I don't care. I want to show it off to everybody so everybody thinks I'm really cool and how
good luck
awesome
with that relationship.
Yeah, that relationship would be over in a nanosecond, right? Yeah. We would never do, well, some people may, but we would never do that in our relationship with a significant other. Now imagine if you actually started to relate to money like, wow, I want to be a better person around money. I love the fact that money is in my life.
Yes.
I'm so grateful that money came into my life. I'm thinking about how can I make this relationship better? How can I make this relationship last forever? How can I make this relationship benefit both of us and be something that brings me joy and happiness, but I'm also clear of what it can and cannot provide. I would not ask my significant other to go rebuild the engine in my car, knowing that they've never even lifted a hood up. It's just, we wouldn't expect our significant other to do something like that. Yet we expect money to provide things that it can't.
Yeah.
So the bad news, guys, is money's never going to provide you joy and happiness or fulfillment or security. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Money can allow you to do things that will bring you joy, but it will not be a source of joy. It will not be that sourceful joyfulness or happiness or contentedness. I have lots of things around me that I love. And when I look at them, I'm so happy and it brings me joy, but they are not the source of happiness and joy in my life. No. They're just superficial things. So start to look at relating to money as you would a significant other. Start to think about money, actually bring it to the forefront, and then start to notice those blocks that you have around money, those negative thoughts or mindsets around money, and then using that 4-step process to clear them out. And things will start to alter, I think, very, very quickly.
Pericles, you have been awesome. Thank you. This is really, really great. And, really just sharing your financial tips for freedom. And for me, I've always said this, it's about like living in a balanced, well-rounded life. And that's where mindfulness comes in. And, really financial freedom is a part of that. And we talk about that in the values work that I do. And so how can our listeners find you, Pericles?
They can go to 2 places, periclesrellas.com or resetyourfinancialthermostat.com. They both go to the same place, periclesrellas.com. And right there on the top in the main page is my free masterclass, where I dive into the details of the 4 keys to resetting your financial thermostat. Do it for free. I encourage people, if this speaks to you, to take something on, whether it's my masterclass, which is free again, or something else. Find something that speaks to you so that you can actually start to alter this conversation for yourself.
Awesome. I know this conversation is really going to help many listeners and maybe get off of that money hamster wheel and to change the batteries in that financial thermostat. So thank you for listening today. Your support is what makes this show possible, and I'm grateful to share in these weekly podcasts with all of you. So if you have any show topic ideas or want to explore with us, please head on over to officialdrpete.com and you can share with us these ideas. We will see you back here next week. So until then, spread a little kindness and stay well.